quite a long story, which we need to shorten for this purpose. But I grew up in South Africa. I grew up and done my high school and my schooling in Vereniging. I went to the army directly after that. I then studied and then got my first job at Alexander Forbes in fund administration. After about a year of that, I realized that I'd done everything back to back and hadn't really got out there, being a Vereniging boy. So booked myself a ticket, or cashed in my pension, booked myself a ticket for a year's return into Europe, to go and stay with family and see Europe, and that's what I did. So after backpacking around Europe and doing some bar jobs and some hotel jobs here and there, I found myself in Rome on the day I was supposed to come home. £20 in my pocket, no way of getting back to London for the flight. And effectively I had to find a way to work myself back to a ticket to get back to South Africa. So more bar jobs, more hotel jobs, etc. And in looking in the papers at one point, I came across Pink Elephant, who were looking for graduates at the time. That's what the company model at the time was to hire people with aptitude rather than degrees, etc., etc. But the graduates was a starting point. We didn't care what you studied. It was more about your customer service, your interaction skills. Anyway, I arranged myself an interview. I went up there, got the job, and that was me coming across Pink Elephant. They deployed me to the British Gas service desk as a service desk analyst at that point, and which I did for about 6 months. Keep in mind, I was in my mid-20s at the time. Most of the other guys were just out of university, 21, 20. So within 6 months, they promoted me to the service desk manager. And after a couple of years of running British Gas, I got the opportunity to take on a service delivery manager role, which meant multiple customers. So at that point, we were looking after big companies. My customers were Hitachi, Boehringer Ingelheim, pharmaceutical. There was 3M, big company. Yellow Pages, which was called Yell at the time in the UK. So maybe 120 people across various desks, which we were looking after. Good times, great time at Pink, great culture at Pink. Formed the basis for what we did out here, and really was the start of the long journey. That was the basis that got me pinkified, should we say, and brought the Pink Elephant into my way of thinking. The thing that attracted me to Pink Elephant when we got there was the fact that we were a really young company. It was great fun. Our offices, it was a 3-story building. In the middle was a bar. We used to have 300 people come back from various customer sites on Fridays to get together in the bar before they went out into Reading and to the town. A really vibrant culture. With a name like Pink Elephant, we couldn't be too serious. You couldn't be a corporate. I remember going in or having discussions with people in London that couldn't work with a company called Pink Elephant because it was ridiculous. We don't work with those kind of people. But we soon got over that. But the primary services we were putting out there were obviously training, as it is today, and the big one, which was what we called on-site solutions, which was people. So resourcing into various desks. Oracle was a big one as well that we looked after at the time. Outside of that, there was consulting. There was the products you'd recognize today, the Pink scans, all the consulting products that we've done at the moment, because Pink had effectively commercialized ITIL into the markets in those early days, the back end of the 80s and then into the 90s, and we were flying. As a company, it was flying. So a really, really great place to work, a really fun, young culture, and a company that was doing well. It was subsequently went through various sales, etc., and acquired a number of companies to take advantage of this organic growth we were on the path of, and to bring in new services. So we ended up with data centers, massive data centers. We ended up with massive service centers, looking after big customers. Changed the world of Pink. Kind of lost the culture for me a bit at that point from a UK perspective. So I stepped out for a year and worked for, it wasn't even a year, 3 months maybe, for BT Centegra, who were working on the National Health Service, what they called the Spine Cradle to Grave program, massive government program that was on the go, implementing the ITIL processes across all the various NHS trusts, which was great fun. But while I was doing that, I was formulating how do I get home? I was still trying to get home at that point. I'd been there 10 years. I'd still made more than my £20 necessary to buy that ticket, but just hadn't got back. So I was still thinking I need to go home. The clouds are getting lower. That this place it's becoming grim. I need to get back to the sun.